here at Medicare Gurus in Cedar Park, Texas. I am Stephen Grip, and thank you for being here. This is the AEP version, so it's going to be a little bit truncated, but that is okay because we still have some great stuff to talk about. If you are new to these videos, what we are doing is during AEP, we are still providing you the services of a dojo, conversations with agents, insight from agents on a live floor that is able to share with you that you can bring with you to your sales. Now, on days like this, obviously, we're very, very busy. So you'll see that there's nobody here. But because it's a live sales floor, we'll have people coming in and out, sharing their stories and experience of AEP. So what we're going to do today, there is something that I really want to talk about, especially with new agents. We have a few new agents that have come through the floor here, and they are learning very, very quickly. And it's very exciting to see the progression. It's very exciting to see how things are moving with them. And if you are a new agent, you're probably going through a lot of changes and a lot of knowledge blown through the fire hose, going to you and learning at a breakneck speed.
Do you need a helper?
Absolutely, come on over. Yeah. So what we're talking about today is, focusing on new agents specifically, and breaking out into experienced agents like Penny here. We want to talk about urgency. Okay, urgency is important to know as an agent, and it's because of the time of the year. This is the time of the year where, if you look at this, I call them the seasons of Medicare. You have your January to March, which is your annual election period for Medicare Advantage. Then you have your special election period or off season that happens from April to around September. And, you're working with your clients. If you are working with Medicare supplements, you're talking to them about their rates. You're talking to them about Medicare and how it's helping them. But now we are in the annual election period for all things Medicare. And so when you're talking about urgency, you have to understand that when these people are talking to you, they may or may not know, but you definitely need to know that this is the only time of the year where they can make a change for 2023. The majority of clients that I talk to throughout the year, sans this time of the year, is that they're disappointed with the plan, or they thought that they could make a change during the year. And that is not true at all. Special election periods mean that there is something special happening that allows you to switch your plan, like you're moving, or you have limited income subsidy that allows you to switch every quarter. But for the most part, the majority of Medicare recipients cannot do any type of switching only now. And so as agents, you need to emphasize that this is the only time of the year. Now, with that being said, we have to talk about the difference between urgency and desperation. So I'll turn it over to you, Penny. Can you just talk about, from your experience, your knowledge of that difference, that disparity between sounding urgent on the phone and sounding desperate on the phone? Maybe hearing a new agent sounding desperate. Just talk about your experience with that differentiation.
I think when people hear on because they can hear the difference on the phone when they're talking to you, and I think that one of the main things is desperation. They think maybe you're not telling them everything, or that they need to maybe call and talk to some other people too. And I think when they hear that they have a time limit and your time is limited and you want to help them, but you don't sound rushed with them, that you sound like you're just trying to take care of whatever they need. Mm-hmm. And I think, one inspires confidence in the decision they're going to make for themselves for the next year, and the other one does not. The other one encourages shopping around, and of course it's not our prices, it's the insurance company prices. So
right.
It's important, I think, to take your time and not sound like you're desperate, like you need this call done in 20 or 30 minutes.
Right.
And I don't know. I think they inspire completely different reactions, I think, in the people
I
that you're
agree.
talking to.
Yeah.
So that's a big one.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like when you're inspiring, I like that word, you're inspiring urgency. You're saying to them, I mean, you're not saying to them, but you're implying that
Mhm.
you can talk to 10 different people in the course of this time. And you can make changes 10 times. You know,
Right?
it's
Right.
allowed.
Right.
It's totally permissible. You can call 10 different people and they could say, let's do this plan. And you could change your plan 10 times.
Right.
And that is then going to paralysis by analysis. Like, so to create that desperation and say, look, you need this plan. You
Yeah.
definitely need this plan. That is going to come off as desperate. Like, I just want to get paid, AKA the term commission breath.
Right.
Like I just want to get the money. And that can come through, especially through new agents. Like, let's get this done because you're so close to making the sale and you're like, let's just get it done. Let's get it done. And they're like, whoa, this person is desperate.
Mhm.
What I like in your term of inspiring urgency is saying, look, I know as an agent that you as a client can call 10 different agencies
Right.
and get 10 different quotes and 10 different enrollments because it's allowed.
Right.
But in that urgency, it's saying, look, I know how the system works and I am instilling trust in you. That I know that because you have the opportunity to make all these decisions, that we need to get this done so that way we can focus on what's important. Because I, as a Medicare Guru agent, know what's important for you, which is knowledge of your product. And more importantly, knowing that I'm going to be the purveyor of your policies henceforth.
Right.
To say, like, I'm not just trying to get you a deal today, I'm trying to be your agent for the rest of your life. And that way you can hand off business to your people that you care about because I care about you.
Exactly.
So we're talking about urgency today. We noticed that with a lot of new agents, they're calm, cool, and collected, which is important, but they're not building that urgency.
Yep.
They're not telling them, like, this is very important. So we're starting off with this conversation with the difference between sounding urgent and sounding desperate. So we're just digging into that and then digging into urgency more importantly later.
That's going to be funny. I don't think I ever sound urgent.
Yeah.
I don't.
Mhm.
Like, I don't create a lot of urgency because I don't want to say I don't have to.
Right.
But the way I approach it is completely different. Like, we had me and Sharita were on a call with a lady where she emailed me and she was like, hey, I think it's time I want to sign up for a drug plan. She's 72. And, this wasn't oh my God, we got her on the line. Like, you're not getting off without buying something.
Right.
It's not
Right.
that when you have the confidence behind it,
Right.
you don't have to approach it. Oh my God, I have to.
Right.
I have to sell her something.
Right.
I have to.
Right.
No, it's how can I help her?
Right.
So I went with her. She was on 3 medications. It would have been like $20 for her drug plan. It would have cost like $500 for the year. But I just kept telling her, I'm like, look, you've been 7 years without a drug plan. You're probably gonna look at a $30 penalty.
Right.
Just because you think it's time, it might not be the best time, but I don't know that just yet. I still have to kind of see. But I just reiterated to her that's like, look, like, you don't have to get a drug plan. Eventually you're going to need one, and then it's too late. So you don't have to get one. You can still use your GoodRx. You're on 3 generic medications. But when you do get prescribed something like the Eliquis, then you're going to have to start paying retail.
Mhm.
And even those GoodRx coupons and stuff, that's still $600 a month versus
Right.
you might hit your deductible month 1, and then after that you're paying $90 for it or $45 for it.
Mhm.
So I didn't even have to be like, so we need to get this done today. The way I do it, it's a whole lot more psychological, to where I want you to go through in your head every possible thing that you can think of for why I shouldn't do this, and I've already answered it. Because for her big thing after that, she was like, okay, so if I don't do it now, I'm going to penalize later on, and it stays with me. And I go, you're 72. Let's talk about if you're 75. Then it's going to be that $20 premium is going to turn into $70. That doesn't go away. Let's do it if you're 80. That's a
120.
15.
Yeah.
That's going to be, it's just going to get bigger and bigger. So you can do the GoodRx. You can absolutely do it. You can not have the penalty. But just remember, the later on that you wait, the more that you're going to be penalized for it.
Mhm.
And she goes, okay, so what's the premium again? And I was like, it's $24. She goes, okay, what do you think my penalty is going to be? I go, probably $28, $30 or so. She goes, okay, so $50 a month. She goes, okay, let me call you back this afternoon right now. I got to go run to a dentist appointment, then I'll be right back, and we can get signed up for the drug plan for January 1st. I'm like, okay. I think it's whenever, now that also takes a lot of confidence. It takes a lot of skill. It takes a lot of knowledge, knowing all of that. But like the lady I just got off of, I've been trying to sell her for 2 years. And she always has the best plan. It's been this AARP plan. It's been the best one for years.
Mhm.
But I still check in with her. So call her and tell her. I called her at work. She's like, hey, call me when I'm on lunch. Okay, perfect. Called her at 12. And I was like, hey, I already know your situation. You're looking to save money on Trulicity. And Cigna had an Advantage plan that was $150 less for the overall year in just Trulicity coverage. And she's like, okay, so what'd you find for me? And I was like, you sound like a broken record, but I don't want you to switch. Like, there's no reason for you to. He goes, what do you mean? I go, well, you can save $150 for this one, but you've had this plan for 2 years. You love this plan. All your doctors take this plan. Is that really worth $150 to you? She goes, oh, absolutely not. And I was like, I know. Because I saw the number and I'm like, that's not worth it. So I think it's not, having that urgency to where it's like, oh my God, it's $150. You love $150. You're going to get a whole lot further in this business if you're realistic with them.
Yeah.
Mhm.
If you're not trying to pull some shady stuff or, we have to get this done now. We have to get this done now. We have to do everything. Sure, you need to have that realization in it. But put yourself into their perspective. Would you change for $150 a year and then you might not have every doctor in network?
No. Mhm.
Exactly.
Totally not worth that.
Would you take a prescription plan now at 72, or would you wait until you're 80 and have a bigger penalty?
I'd probably take it now.
See, I didn't have to tell her to take it now.
Right.
I didn't have to
No.
tell that lady, hey, it's still $150. No, just be a good person.
Mhm.
That's
She
what,
understands it was the right move for her.
exactly.
Like,
That's
her
what all
choice.
of this AEP is. And for people, I talked about this morning, people that talk about, like, they're in forums, if they're, Facebook groups, whatever it is, people go, how do I get these seniors that I'm talking to shut up so I can call the next person?
Yeah.
And I go, you must not be selling anything and your retention must be horrible.
Right.
Because you don't care. You don't. It's a number for you.
Mm-hmm.
You really don't. There's no connection. If you're trying to rush somebody off the phone, I get it. You're 3 or 4 phone calls behind. You want to do it. But if I'm talking to somebody, I'm going to take the time with them. It's okay. If somebody else is on the phone, you know what? I'm on the phone with this person.
Yeah.
I had a guy yesterday. He called in 3 times because he was having trouble with signing the thing and had some questions. And by the end of it, he's like, boy, I bet you're sick of me. And I was like, you have no idea how much I love you.
Right.
I was like, you're one of my favorite people I talk to. I will drop everything to answer the phone. And then I had a guy call me too Monday morning when it was crazy too.
Mhm.
And then I called him back in the afternoon and I was like, hey, bud, what's going on? He goes, oh, I'm surprised you were able to call me back today with how busy they said you were. And I go, I make exclusions for people I like.
Nice.
He goes,
I heard you say it.
He goes, you say it to everybody, don't you? And I go, well, I say it in different tones, but yeah, I say it to everybody.
Yeah.
I mean it sometimes.
Right.
But like, that's a guy who's never going to go anywhere.
Yeah.
He's never going to talk to anybody. So a lot of creating the urgency, you do want to get it done.
Yeah.
But you just have to be careful because it comes off as so desperate.
Right.
Mhm.
And you can tell who's desperate.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. You can tell it by the way they talk. They don't
Mhm.
ask you how you are. They don't ask you any questions. They don't care because they just need to sell something. Same thing with answering the phone, that to where they might not take all the steps needed to get it to the right person. Just go, oh, well, can't find it. Okay, let me sell it.
Right.
And then it's like, this is not a stab at you, I swear. Steven had a little mishap answering the phone today, but it's okay.
He's not going to let it go.
Never going to let
Ever.
it go, ever. Oh, if that would have been me, it would have been, oh. But things happen like that.
Mm-hmm.
They really do. But you just never want to seem desperate enough that you're like, your whole life depends on this next sale.
Yeah.
That's where new agents struggle, because you got to have some urgency, but that can't be your life or death if I sell this or not.
Yeah. I think you talking about your experience is really how urgency should work. Urgency does not mean we got to get it done.
Mhm.
Urgency means we are here talking on the phone, and I have you on the phone right now to make a decision. But that decision should be backed by thought, experience, and patience and love. Building that trust. That's very hard for new agents to understand, because their mindset is, oh, I got to get this deal done. And that's desperate. That sounds like you need to get it done so you can make money. And the person on the phone understands that, yeah, this is a transaction. It's probably not going to cost me anything if I'm doing a drug plan or a Medicare Advantage plan. Like, it's not going to cost me anything right now. I'm not paying anything right now. But new agents, I talking to Allison today, yesterday she made over 200 dials. And she was very, very proud of that. And she was kind of implicitly looking for acknowledgement of that. And Medicare Guru's mindset is, well, you're desperate to get attention for your work. Like, you shouldn't be proud to be calling 200 plus dials. Like, I'm not going to say that to her,
Right.
but we need to work with, you should be more proud of the talk time that you're having.
Right.
I would rather have you have 5 dials with 4 hours of talk time like Christopher had than 200 dials with an hour of talk time. That means that you are desperate or you don't understand the nature of the call.
Right.
I want to interject here. I was going to say this in the morning meeting. Adrian, this might be a clip here, so I'll look at this camera here. I'll look at both of you guys too. So I was on TikTok, right? And there was this, he's like a sports psychologist, motivational speaker type guy, right? Okay. So he had a story about how he went to this D1 softball team. Okay. And he works with a lot of like the psychologicals with the team to improve everything. Nowadays, everybody kind of has somebody on staff, but this is back in the day when he would get called in. And so he said one of the team captains came up to him and was like, hey, can we have a players only meeting? And he goes, I always get worried about these. These are traps to me. No coaches, no staff. This is a trap somehow, but okay. He goes, you know what? I'll take it anyway. And he asked him, he goes, what's your problem? And they go, we don't get enough positive reinforcement. And he goes, okay, well, let's talk about that. Give me an example. And he said, okay, so their top hitter, their leadoff hitter, they were facing a team that had an Olympic pitcher on the mound. And the very first pitch of the game, she fouled it off. And she said that she looked to the dugout and the coach didn't clap. She went back 2 pitches later, struck out, walks to the dugout, coach doesn't interact with her. So that girl asked the guy and she goes, I could have used like a clap there for fouling it off. And he goes, why? You struck out on 3 pitches.
Right.
That's the mindset
Mm-hmm.
right there, where it's, well, hey, I did 200. You didn't talk to anybody.
Right.
So that means either nobody liked you when you talked about yourself, or nobody liked you enough to call you back.
Right.
That's the issue that people don't see.
Yeah. One thing that we'll talk about with the agents today, new agents, is that when people say, I got everything taken care of, that doesn't mean it got taken care of. That is just a smokescreen objection to say, I don't want to talk to you. So new agents hear that, they're like, oh, okay, well, okay, best of luck to you. They don't understand that that is an invitation to say, okay, well, can you explain what that means? So I know as the expert that you did get it taken care of, because you may have, but you also may have done it the wrong way. Because last time I checked, I do things the right way, not clients, because I do everything.
Right.
But let's hear what you got to say. But they don't know that.
Right.
So when we saw her call report today, she had 200 plus dials. And it's like, okay, we can look at it positively, like you got good work ethic, so that's good. We'll lean on that work ethic. But we cannot say that she's being successful, can we?
No. Not yet.
No, not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say not yet. It's a yes or no.
Yeah.
It's no.
No. So we're going to go
I was encouraging her. I was
No.
encouraging.
Realistically here.
Yeah.
It's
So-
AP. It's cutthroat. There's no sunshines and rainbows during
there is a human component. Like, we don't want to tell her she's doing a
Yeah.
terrible job,
Right.
but she's not doing the right job. So what we got to say to her is like, look, you have to have I'm not going to say paradigm shift, but like your mindset has to be not focused on the amount of calls because that doesn't get you anything. It has to be on the talk time because that's where you're going to get your sales. That's the juice.
And I think that's too where you never want to say somebody's wrong. You're not wrong for doing that.
Right.
You're not. It's just you need to switch your mindset behind it, saying, okay, if I'm leaving 200 calls or if I'm calling 200 people, let's discuss this here.
Mm-hmm.
Let's really dissect why do you have to make that many calls. So you're telling me either nobody's answering on your intro or nobody's calling you back for a conversation.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the two places I would like. That's why I love that little average talk time thing we have per call, because if your average talk time is 5 minutes, I can tell you have an issue either with your intro or going into your discovery.
Mm-hmm.
If it's 10 minutes, then that means you can do an intro, but you're having an issue with your discovery. And if it's 30, 35 and you're not putting the sale, okay, there might have been something that stuck you in your way that you couldn't do.
Mm-hmm.
Because it'll tell you how successful you are on the phone is that average talk time.
Mm-hmm.
And I think it's so important for especially some of the newer agents too. Like I had one yesterday that I had to call back today. When I called her on Monday, or it might have been Friday when I called her, I was like, hey, what's going on? She goes, well, I don't need help with Medicare. I need help with my light bill. Okay, let me help with that. She's 66. Turns out she's on a Humana plan. But I helped her look for this state of Illinois electricity assistance.
Mm-hmm.
And sent her the website, got her on the phone with them, did everything like that. And I told her, I go, hey, you know what? Let me call you next week. And I'll just make sure that everything went smooth with your application for it. I go, okay, yeah. Called her back today. And I was like, hey, got her voicemail. Hey, it's Jacob here. Just give me a call. I just wanted to check on that Illinois electricity thing for you since I helped you. Okay. Went through it. She did the application. She hasn't heard back yet. She goes, I am having an issue with one of my prescriptions. Y'all know what that means. Exactly. Scope of appointment later, we're going through everything, and switching her off a Humana plan is going to save her like $2,500 for next year.
Yep.
And she's in love.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. So it's one that to where even if they say, like you said, they have it all taken care of, they might not know they have it taken care of.
Mm-hmm.
Or they might have another issue that you can just be a good human and help with. It's really that simple.
Yeah.
If you help them, they'll help you in return.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. All right, so we got 5 minutes left here. So let's ask this to either of you.
Okay.
You have a new agent. I got to go talk to the new agents about,
Mm-hmm.
helping them decipher between urgency and desperation. How can we start that conversation with them? Having them understand what you just explained today about urgency.
I'd have them listen to me talk. That's what I tell them all the time. Is like, you need to be listening to everybody in this room, especially listening to people that are putting stuff on the board.
Mm-hmm.
If you're putting stuff on the board, then that means you're successful.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. So you need to surround yourself with successful people. That's why you always say you never want to be the smartest guy in the room.
Mm-hmm.
So that way you can always learn something. If you don't have the instinct to do it naturally, then you need to hear it first and
Mm-hmm.
learn it first. So they need to listen to you. They need to listen to you. They need to listen to me.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody who has done this, have an example, have them listen to it, but not sit there with your headphones on.
Yeah.
That's the one thing that kills me with new agents when they start, or if I'm doing health questions or if I'm doing something and they get up away from their desk. I go, you have no idea what you're listening to right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you would understand the moment that you're in and listening to what we do when we ask health questions, when we go to do a close, you're going to have to do this on your own soon enough. And when you can't close it, I'll help you the first few times, but after that, daddy's got to cut the cord. Okay. You're off on your own. You got to close your own deal. So if you weren't paying attention while you had me, that's not my fault.
Yeah.
That's somebody else's fault. So for them, you just never want to sound desperate. Take some time, listen to a few things, but you really got to mess up a lot.
Yeah.
You really do.
Even listening to yourself helps.
Listening to yourself helps wonders.
Yeah.
I encourage that to everybody. So for them, I'd say, look, if you have to add me on the phone from the very beginning, but just listen and take notes on how I do it, or how you do it, or how Penny does it, how Frank does it, how Brad does it, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Whoever is helping you, take notes on how they do it, because they've been in this situation before. They know what's going on. They know how to spin it. You might not know how to spin a question now or anything like that, but you will if you just listen. If you listen and you try. That's a big thing for me. What about you, Penny?
Yeah, well, I think, like, you're right. It does really help to hear the different phrases and the different tones of voice and listen to yourself, because sometimes you don't realize exactly. You may have intended to say it in a certain way, but then when you're listening back to it, you're like, I guess it didn't really come off the way I was trying to make it sound. I mean, you learn a lot by listening to people in the room, and even questions to ask by listening.
Mm-hmm.
So as a new person, listening is key, not only to yourself, but to those who are successful and on the board, like you said. I really think that makes a huge difference.
I agree. So with that being said, we are signing off. Thank you guys so much. We will look forward to seeing you tomorrow. And Grip is out. Thank you, guys.
Extra work. Yeah.